Hi, welcome to Miss Corrigan's Unit 2 Biology class. Today's topic is from chapter 16.4 in your textbook, and it's about water balance and salt levels in all organisms. Organisms live all over this planet Earth. They live in many different environments, and each environment has its own set of unique challenges, especially in regards to water. A great example of a water-challenging environment is the desert. In the desert there isn't much rainfall. Because of this, there isn't much free water around for organisms to access. Any organism that lives in the desert needs to have a set of strategies to deal with the lack of water. At the opposite end of the scale, we have freshwater environments such as lakes, rivers, and ponds. These environments are challenging because there is too much water in them, especially for animal cells which don't have a cell wall to protect them from lysis or from exploding or rupturing. Water will want to follow the osmotic gradient into the animal cells, which will fill them up, building up with pressure until the cell membrane breaks. Marine environments cause a different set of problems to freshwater environments. This is because of the high salt content in the water. Water will want to follow the osmotic gradient out of cells into the salt water. So as a result, marine animals and plants must come up with their own set of strategies to deal with water loss. I've mentioned the term osmosis. You might remember that word from semester 1. The definition of osmosis is the passive, meaning it requires no energy, movement of water across a semi-permeable membrane, such as our cell membranes, from an area that is high in water concentration to an area that is low in water concentration. So it follows the concentration gradient. Since life on our Earth is thought to have evolved in our oceans, let's begin there. Right now you are looking at a whale shark. This is the largest fish living. It can grow to 12 meters long, but it's not a vicious thing like Jaws. It is a passive creature that feeds on plankton. Its challenge, water-wise, is that it constantly loses water to the surrounding environment as it follows the concentration gradient. So how do marine fish deal with this? Well, they deal with it by constantly drinking in the water around them. The water around them contains a mixture of salt and of H2O. Marine fish get rid of all that extra salt that they've ingested through special cells in their gills, so they're constantly flushing salt out through their gills and saving the water. They also preserve water within their bodies by excreting small amounts of concentrated urine. Sharks have an extra trick to being able to live in salt water. They keep the urea concentration in their blood quite high, so it's about the same as the saltiness of the water around them. This helps them lose less water to their environment. Not all fish can do this. This is a Murray cod. It is a fish that lives in our river systems in Australia, so it lives in fresh water. It's a special fish because it gets quite large. Generally it can grow to over 1 meter in length. The largest caught in record was 1.8 meters long. It has to deal with water stress. It constantly has water flooding into its cells because it lives in a freshwater environment. The water is following the concentration gradient, so now the fish needs to get rid of it. So how does it do it? It excretes lots of water in its urine. Unfortunately, a lot of salt follows that. Freshwater fish overcome this problem by actively absorbing, which means they use energy in their cells to do this, by actively absorbing salts from the water around them. They have special cells in their gills to help them do this. Terrestrial organisms constantly lose water to their environment through evaporation. Plants have a couple of strategies to avoid this. One strategy is to have a waxy layer called the cuticle over their leaves, which is impermeable to water, so the water can't escape that way. Another strategy is that they can control how open their stomata is by using the guard cells. So when the plant has enough water, the stomata will open and allow transpiration, which is the evaporation of water, to occur. When the plant is water stressed, it'll close the stomata and retain as much water as it can inside it. They also, especially plants that live in the desert, such as the spinifex grass, reduce the exposed surface area. This means that there's less area to lose water across. Land animals obtain water through two ways. Obviously, they drink water, and less obviously is the breaking down of food into carbon dioxide and water through cellular respiration. Terrestrial animals constantly lose water to their environment through respiration, as in breathing water vapor out from their lungs, and through urination. Animals need to get rid of nitrogenous waste because, as you can see, it's toxic to their bodies. Often these wastes need to be diluted into water. In fish, you can see that they need a lot of water to dilute their ammonia that they excrete. But in land animals, they only require moderate or even low levels of water to get rid of their urea and uric acid. The kidney is the organ in our body that is responsible for taking our nitrogen waste out of our blood, urea, and turning it into urine, which is flushed out of our body along with a lot of water. In our kidneys, we have a structure called the loop of Henle. It is responsible for reabsorbing water from our urine so that we don't lose too much that way. This cute little fella is an Australian hopping mouse. He is so well adapted to living in the desert that he never needs to drink any water. He can survive on the water that he gets out of his food through metabolism alone. How does he do this? He does this through having a very, very, very long loop of Henle, which means he absorbs lots and lots of water from his urine, and he produces very concentrated urine. In addition, you might notice he's got a little tuft of hair on the end of his tail. At night, or during the day when he's sleeping, he wraps his tail around him and covers his face with the fuzzy bit so that he loses less moisture through respiration. Okay, some days you'll notice that you'll produce more concentrated urine than other days. Those days that you produce concentrated urine might be because you haven't drunk enough water or you've been sweating a lot. On days that you produce lots of dilute urine, you've probably been sitting still and drinking lots of water. The change in concentration of urine is a way that our body controls how much water is in our system. So on hot days when we're sweating lots and not drinking much water, our body will increase the release of ADH from the pituitary gland. This increase in ADH in our bodies causes our kidneys to reabsorb more water from the urine. Because we're reabsorbing more water in our kidney, we're producing urine that is concentrated and in less volume. Some days we drink lots of water, and when that happens, this whole process gets reversed. So when our body feels that we have enough or too much water, the pituitary will release less ADH. This will cause the reabsorption of water in our kidney to drop. We'll produce more dilute urine and lots of it.